what is the function of gating and inhibition in the sensory system? So related to hearing specifically, but other senses as well. What is the purpose of that inhibitory function?
Yes. So the purpose is that your conscious higher order centers are not overwhelmed or flooded with information that is not necessary. We've also looked at this mechanism as it relates to people who have issues with speech perception and noise. Again, the theory being maybe the gating mechanism is not ideal in these individuals. And so noise is being allowed to reach conscious centers of the brain, which causes more interference and also draws heavily on cognitive resources to try to suppress it. And we found that to be the case, at least that a decreased gating ability is related to worse speech perception and noise in adults with normal hearing. So we do see that to be true. Gating in the neuropsych literature is often framed as, again, a survival mechanism if you're hunting in the wild. You want to be able to orient very quickly to new or novel auditory information. So if you're in the grasslands and you hear the grass rustling, you don't want to be paying attention to that because it's ongoing and it's non-threatening. But if you hear a twig break, you definitely want to quickly pick that up and be able to pay attention to it. So it seems to be, or is thought of as part of that survival mechanism. And now is just an issue in communication, I would say, and cognitive processing as well, but could be involved in these auditory perceptions that aren't typical.
Interesting. Is there any evidence or any studies that look at this phenomenon in different cultures that have different levels of exposure to sound, to different kinds of sounds and media?
That's such a good question. That was a similar question was raised at this meeting I was just at, where we were talking about a different disorder called hyperacusis, which is sensitivity to the level of sound and how loud it is. And one of the researchers was visiting family in India, which is a very loud place. And this is anecdotal. She was just asking, people and clinicians, is hyperacusis an issue there? And it doesn't seem to be as much of a problem because the expectation isn't quiet. It's loud, sound and noise all the time. So I do think there could be a cultural effect or maybe an expectation effect of what you expect to hear and what you don't expect to hear. So there's a lot of people who have tinnitus who are not bothered by it. And so if you're able to perceive a signal or sound, we call that tinnitus. But Dirk de Ritter just coined the term tinnitus disorder if it's bothersome. And so there seems to be this fallout where some people are fine with it and some people are not. And I've heard a couple accounts of people with tinnitus who were surprised to find out that no one else had it, or that it wasn't normal. They just assumed everybody hears this. Some kids who develop it think that, and you don't find out till much later. And so that's interesting as well, whether or not you think it's always there or should be there or not.